So I am officially calling the meeting to order, and we'll start with approval of minutes from the prior meeting. Do we have minutes, Jennifer? And I apologize, I've been a little bit out of touch the last couple of weeks. Ruth, are these the ones that we're waiting for some content from me?
That would be September 30. That's one of them. And then
Yep.
at our last meeting,
Yeah,
what would be October 27, something like that.
Those weren't circulated yet, John.
Okay.
Yes, they were.
To the whole group? I don't think so.
No, to the
I know,
leadership.
but John
Yeah.
was out, so we haven't had a
Okay.
chance to review and comment on those.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to have this to look forward to in 2 weeks. We're going to be able to approve
Yeah.
3 sets of meetings at the same time.
Sounds
That's
good.
exciting.
That'll be good. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, well then why don't we go over to Beth for a little update on what's going on with the town.
Stephen Crane just texted me and he will be ready in 5 minutes for any updates from that. In terms of tourism, we're winding down the regular operation of the visitor center. So starting next week, we will reduce to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 10 to 4. And all of our tours go to on demand, except for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday 1 o'clock tour. With me in that building, I'll be able to open the doors most days. If I don't have meetings, I'll be manning the fort. So we're changing up all of our signage and website and voicemail and all of that to reflect those changes. We have been really, really busy. October, I think I reported already, but it matched last October's number in terms of foot traffic. Like so much so that we're having these trash conversations and bathrooms had sewage and overflow and everything. So, I mean, the good and the bad problems, tons of visitors, really happy to be outdoors. The new tours.
I'm not hearing anybody. I don't know whether anybody hears me or not.
Oh, yeah, we can hear you. Someone want to call him? Maybe you're right, Jennifer. Maybe it's just his speaker.
Yeah, I think his speaker's not on.
While you're talking, I'll give him a call.
Okay. So we're really happy with the tours that are running. We're taking a ton of private tours right now. So the African American bike tour and the family tour. I think Saturday I have 3 different tours going out. So it's been great to be able to address people's needs for being outdoors safely. Saturday was the holiday shopping downtown, town supported and driven by retailers. And early feedback was really, really good. I talked to a lot of the
Hi, John.
center merchants, had great feedback. It was a short enough window that people didn't seem to feel taxed to be open and put a lot of sale merchandise out, which I think was good. Minimal closure. Police kept the roads open as much as possible. So I've heard from some of the vendors that were able to come into the downtown, had really positive experience because they're often left out of things like that since they don't have storefronts. So I heard really positive feedback from those artists. And West Concord, so far, early feedback has been good as well. I almost feel like if I don't hear from it, people might be okay. So we are trying to grow the business listing. Right now, we just got some more business emails. I'd love if everybody on this committee, I'll make sure you got it. If you didn't get it, check your spam filter. If it's not in your spam filter, let me know. I tried to add everybody from this committee to the business newsletter. And I try to send them out as often as we have relevant news. We did get a nice assist from John to reach the Bradford Mills. We know that a lot of people were missing our individual mom and pops, artists. So we are desperately trying to make sure that they know about these grants because there's money out there still. And I want it to go back into Concord. So,
Hey, Beth.
Yeah, ma'am.
Just from the exercise we just did with the holiday guide, I got a slew of new emails, so I can send those your way.
Super. We got a list from the town clerk of all the DBAs. It didn't have emails. So we are going through those. My staff is going through those. Any place we can reach out to. I reached out to the Village Art Room to spread the word, the Umbrella to spread the word. And the good news, if anybody hasn't read that, is the library is going to be able to assist businesses with scanning, which has been a big pushback that we've heard. People need help with that. And they are working to be able to go back to doing hotspots. They used to rent them, the Wi-Fi hotspots, lend them. So they are working to have their computers back up and running to businesses and hotspots very soon. So we're hoping that that helps. We know some of the feedback was people didn't have a computer, didn't have access to Wi-Fi. So in terms of the feedback from that, so send me news, send me updates. Dawn, do you have a question?
Yeah, what are the hours of the restrooms now, Beth?
7
know
to
that-
7
Every day?
every
Still?
day.
That's great. Thank you.
They're open, they're being cleaned, and they'll stay open all year long. So we know that people are going to continue to do takeout. Takeout containers is the #1 trash because they're big and they make the trash overflow on Main Street and everywhere else. So we're working on a solution for that. But you know, we'll be there. We'll have brochures out. So if anybody needs to put brochures out for the winter, I'm not charging at all till spring, till we look and see what our new normal is. So anybody that needs to get the word out. We got a phenomenal report on the new website today. Like 40,000 clicks in 3 months, which is crazy. The amount of hits we're getting, like 7,000 sessions. Yeah, 6,000 sessions in 3 months, which to compare last year when the tourism information was on the Concord website only on the town, I think we had 2,000 in a year. So it is getting tremendous traffic. And it's still new. Obviously, we launched it in the middle of the pandemic, so it's kind of hard to say for sure, but it's going really well. And we are continuing to look for blogs. So if anybody wants to write a blog on any topic, we need them. They recommend we actually put out a new content once a week. And there's no way I have that kind of time to write them all, nor do I want to. So I'm trying to reach out to anybody that might be interested to write one. Jennifer.
Why don't we partner and you can take some articles from Discover Concord and we can, you know, reprint them or do something to help you out.
Great. I'll take, you know, I'd love new, you know, your stuff is great. Anything we can do to, you know, put relevant content up there. I've got the library is working on some for me, Barrow Bookstore is working on some for me. But that would be great to get that new content up there.
Jen McGrath looks like she had a question. You're muted, Jen.
Yeah, ma'am.
I'll work on one. Not sure what it would be. but
Yay.
on one.
I don't care. I mean, it could, anything, you know, like we're talking, you know, 200 to 300 words, like they just have to be something, you know, like, I don't know.
I'll look at what you've posted and
Yeah.
get a feel for it.
Beth, maybe you and I could get together offline and we can both circle back about the emails and the list, but then we could also create a little editorial calendar
That'd
that
be
maybe could bounce back and forth so that we're not repeating content, but we can
Yeah.
reinforce each other, that kind of
That'd be
thing.
great. I'd love that. Anything we
Okay.
can do, you know, the website is growing and I'm happy that that's growing and I want to keep it up through the quieter time for us. But we have new merchandise. We're trying to push sales, push private tours. They're going really well. It helps us make revenue, which is great. But
Are you seeing more foot traffic than you were a month ago?
oh gosh, yeah. I mean, other than the bad weather days, you know, June, July was really sluggish when we first opened. October was huge. November has been huge, especially nice weekends. Last weekend, you know, 70, 80 people a day. You know, I laugh, but, you know, normally it's not a huge revenue generator, but we made money both Saturday and Sunday between the private tours and the merchandise and having everybody out and about. So I know that there's great potential. So I'm working, you know, sort of our quieter time. We're working with some new groups, some new hotels, and see, you know, how much more new business we can bring in for the spring safely.
It's great.
Jane?
Are the retailers feeling the benefit of all that?
Certainly
know
not
it-
in
I
West
mean-
Concord. Yeah, we're not in West Concord, I'll say that.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah,
I would just say, I don't know why the last 2 weeks, I've had numerous people ask me how long I've been here. And when they hear 3.5 years, they're shocked. but I agree, I don't get tourist stuff at all.
But you, Don, and Ramon also.
Yeah, we use the visitor center as a resource when people, we are getting visitors. I mean, a lot of people are taking day trips or doing a maybe not endorsed visit with family from out of state. And we let them know about the resources across the way. And I'm thrilled to hear that the restrooms will remain open year round, because that really is a fantastic resource. And I'm curious to see what will happen with the trash, because that's become a challenge at the back of our shop also with dumpster use, but it will all iron out in time.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking Thursday about trash management in downtown centers. Super exciting subject, but the reality is we want people to still do takeout. We want people to eat outside when they can. We want, so we have to deal with the back end of that, so to speak. So, Jen.
So I'm just thinking about Deborah and Jen's comment about not seeing tourism in West Concord. This is probably a little bit of a medium range goal, but maybe the Economic Vitality Committee could put it on our agenda to develop some either tours or something on the website, or some information that would encourage tourism in West Concord. There's, certainly in COVID, it's a little more challenging, but there's a very robust arts community there, a lot of artisan, the Neshoba Brook Bakery, et cetera. Maybe there's a way to put together some gastronomic tours or artisan tours or even history tours of West Concord, and actively promote those through the town and the resources on Concord together to encourage tourism. I mean, West Concord is a bit of a gem once you've discovered it, but
Yeah, we actually talked, my staff are working on a foodie tour, because food tours do really, really well, food and art. And there's no reason my staff can't meet someone in West Concord, or we take the train, or, we are still looking at, there's still a huge study going on for multimodal transportation, in town, out of town, Lexington, Concord, and Carlisle, working with the national parks on a huge study. And that is very important, is how to get people to the different districts in every community. So, reality is probably a year or two down the line, but there's no reason we can't start developing some of that content. I love the idea of doing like food and art, or, the art of food or something, Jen?
We
And
might want to
also,
tap into Maynard.
Yeah.
Because when I've been talking to him, I'm trying to get as much Maynard as I can. I know that he's planning, I think he started it, but planning to do even more research about the history of West Concord and the
cool.
businesses and buildings. And he may have a little bit more time come January.
Great.
But I'll mention it to him. But maybe.
Yeah, I've actually just.
Another idea,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Deborah. My bad.
just a quick note, following along on that idea, we also could develop a tour of farms in Concord during the season, because we certainly have some beautiful farms.
Mhm.
Yep.
Jen, I was going to mention that that I've talked to Maynard about this idea that I've been working on for a couple of years, which I've been assembling signs from longtime Concord businesses that are no longer in business. So I've got, some signs from Concord Center that date back to like the 1950s. I've got, a Chamber of Commerce sign that's very old. And basically the idea is to create a Concord sign museum. And it wouldn't be its own building, but we've got plenty of, common area space here in the Bradford Mill. And so basically we're going to start putting these signs up around the building. And the idea is that if you've been a business in Concord for a certain period of time, so for example, we have the toy shop sign that will be hung here in perpetuity. It's a fun idea, and Maynard's pretty fired up about it, because I'd gone to him and saying, so basically, what are you going to do with your sign? Would you like to lend it to this nascent museum? And he was into it, and we talked about a number of things we could do in terms of getting old timers to come out and do some video histories and maybe that stuff. Imagine having the 5 and dime sign, and beside it you've got an iPad where you can push play, and there's Maynard talking about the history of that business. Like, wouldn't that be cool, right? So yeah, keep talking to him, and let's keep thinking about how we could do that, because I think there's also a good opportunity for blog content
Yeah, yeah, I'll talk to him about blog content for sure. He's got lots of it. I mean, the more tours, the merrier. What we found was this fall, just by inventing new tours, people come. I mean, we have people that are repeating. I had a woman that came last week and said, "Oh, can I do something else this weekend?" And like coming back to take more than one tour, which at least not in the year I've been there has ever happened really. So obviously we're coming up with something that's matching people's needs. So
That's great. Awesome. Well, Marcia, did you have anything for the town? I couldn't tell if you were about to say something.
Sorry,
No?
Jane had a question.
Okay.
I actually have two questions and a comment. The first question, this goes back to something earlier. Well, let's talk about West Concord. I think Marcia's on the phone, and also Beth, you are both connected with the cultural district, and there's a historical aspect of that should be brought into anything that's dealing with West Concord. Two, Beth, I missed it and I apologize. You said the bathrooms were going to be open year round now. Does that also mean the visitor center?
So I'm a year-round employee. So Monday through Friday, I will be in and out of there as best I can. So we are going to stay open through December 6th. We'll be open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, starting next week. So we are saying that we're publicly closed, in terms of a person there, but there will be a sign on the door. If I'm in the office, I will have a sign that says we're open. So people
Okay.
can come, they can call year round. I'll be answering the phone year round. The website, obviously has changes. So yeah, I just won't have my staff.
Okay, and then before the close of this meeting, I just would like to circle back to an email discussion I've had with Stephen Crane and a retailer over the last couple of days, just seeking some clarity on a particular issue.
Of course. Marcia, do you want to talk about the grants that we put out or anything? Just a reminder for everybody what's out there.
Well, just that you've done a great job of sending out the notices. The CBDG micro enterprise had no one from Concord in the second round, but now the third round is going to be ongoing until the money is used. So Beth reaching out to all the different people that we've identified through the town clerk's office, through all these other resources has been excellent. And I'm hopeful that we'll be able to help people put their grant applications together. There's also some small business grants that we've identified that are, there's still the 80% income limitation, but there's a variety of different things that are specific for minority businesses. There were some grants recently for nonprofits that we tried to get out to those nonprofit groups. Quick turnarounds are necessary. So even if you aren't able to do a grant right away, go through the process of pulling the information together so that you can move quickly when something comes along that is just right for you. So it's I think worthwhile. Most of these grants are I mean, the micro enterprise are only 10,000, but some of these are a little bit bigger, 25. I think one was up to 75,000. So I think Beth is going to continue to do what she's been doing and getting the word out, and I'll keep feeding her information.
Okay, thank you. Shall we go on to a Conquer Together update? Jennifer, can you provide that?
Stephen is here, so if he might have.
Oh yeah,
something
let's
to
have
add.
Stephen. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry guys, I was a little bit late. And unfortunately I have to jump fairly shortly as well, but I did want to follow up on Jane's question, and it really is more of a broader infrastructure issue. The issue she was referring to is a specific business that obviously we know cell service is terrible downtown. And we've kind of resuscitated conversations. We've recently heard from Verizon and trying to get that conversation back on track. It was obviously derailed by the pandemic, but we know the need for cell service from strictly a public safety standpoint, setting aside, it's needed for an economic standpoint, but just our approach is public safety first. Everything else is a secondary benefit. And so we are trying to re-engage in that conversation and figure out what are our options. In terms of broadband or cable, I think the big challenge there, and this is really a challenge that I think will ultimately go back to either the business partnership or Concord Together or some in this committee, but there's not a lot of underground cable or even the town's broadband. And there is, but there are places it doesn't reach. And part of the issue is that building owners have to pay to put in the underground to get from whatever the trunk line is, that whether it's Concord Broadband or Comcast, into their own buildings. And that's expensive, which is probably the reason why it hasn't happened yet. And it's also very expensive for us to run the conduit downtown. And I know that we are, as a part of our business plan for the broadband business, which is still relatively new, they are looking at, the long-term expense of doing that and trying to find a way to build to that. But I think really it's individual individual property owners need to look at what do they have plans existing to add the connections. And if you've dealt with utility, John, I'm sure you know this as well as anybody, if you've dealt with utility companies, especially the private sector ones, if it doesn't make sense financially, they're just not going to extend the service. And so that's kind of one of the places where I think we're a little bit stuck. Unfortunately, I mean, that's been status quo for many years in Concord. I'm getting the impression that's always been that way, but the pandemic has highlighted the true deficiencies, because now people are relying on phones and internet to do business instead of walk-ins. And to some extent, the town has experienced this as well. And so, James, to go back, it's a roundabout way of saying it's a much bigger problem than just kind of being able to run a wire and plug and play. We did run down that specific example, and it's a challenge. But I think the next phase of this conversation really needs to be with the property owners and say, how can we work together to kind of drive down the cost and make this make sense for everybody?
I think there's actually wireless technology that's actually going to be much more affordable from a capital expenditure standpoint than trying to install cable. And I actually know quite a lot about that, Stephen. We should have a conversation about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because it was brought up to me this past week, and so I raised it with Stephen. And that is an issue that is facing a lot of the retailers in downtown Concord. And to the extent that, John, you have information that would be helpful to the building owners there to make it cheaper, it's been an ongoing complaint for years that it's just problematic for them to do business. And it, as Stephen said, highlighted this issue because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Anything else, Stephen, before we go into Concord together?
No, but I don't know, Beth, if you touched on why Jeremy's here as well. We were focused on the holiday season, looking at events, but we've talked before about what about after the holiday season. And so one of the things we wanted to do was make sure that we had resources available. And so Jeremy, who works in the town manager's office, is here along with Marcia and Beth, and Erin Stevens, who's our communications, our PIO, is not on this, but the four of them are going to be kind of our team to help businesses with whatever needs they have, or try and work on facilitating communications, especially after the first of the year when things when things get pretty quiet. So we want more boots on the ground, so to speak, for the town.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things that we're thinking about internally and wanted to bring to you is the idea of planning for some, similar to what has been done with weekend events. Are there events that we can provide that are safe and that would promote different businesses? Like if we were to do a winter fest or some different things. So I know that you're all focused on the holidays right now, as are we. But we're beginning some preliminary thoughts about what we can do come January and February and March. So just know that we're here, and if you have ideas, throw them our way.
That's great. I got to say, the town has been so proactive through this whole thing. It's really not something that we might have expected a year ago, honestly. It's true.
I appreciate it. Did anybody ever go to Lowell when they had Winterfest? Does anybody remember Winterfest in Lowell? It's got like a big, yeah. When I worked for the city, I was on the planning committee there, and so the human dog sled races and all the stuff. I mean, now granted, the outdoor the guidelines we have during COVID make it almost impossible to do something like that. But if you scale it right and it has the right components for the community, you really can get people out in the wintertime for an outdoor event. And so that's kind of that's my inspiration for what we're talking about. And I think hopefully if we keep our wits about us and continue to communicate, we'll be able to find something to do.
That's great. I know Jennifer's got to leave a little early, so I want to get over to Concord Together update before she goes.
Well, it's interesting because I actually just realized that because I'm hosting the Zoom meeting, I can't jump out early to go to my other board meeting. So
I think you can transfer the host.
I still don't think I can close out and then use my Zoom account to go to another meeting. So it's okay. I've let them know. But Concord Together, really, we haven't had a meeting in 2 weeks. I think by the time we finished up the Fall in Love with Concord event, people were a little exhausted. I think I can speak for Beth and myself, being the ones who were filming every Wednesday and doing the drawings. I think we just needed a little bit of a break. And also we kind of ran out of activities. Like, so we were very, very busy over the summer. As you know, we did the signs, the Invest in Concord signs. We created the website, we created the grant program, the Facebook posts, the sidewalk sales, all of that. And I think this past Saturday was sort of the last of the planned activities through Concord Together. We have another meeting on Thursday morning, and I think we need a bit of a renewed call for activity to do everything that we can to support the businesses through the holidays, especially. And then Marcia, you raised a great point of, you know, we need to come up with some creative ideas for beyond then as well, which might actually get a really good response, because I don't know that as many people will be traveling to, you know, ski houses or winter homes that they might have elsewhere. I just don't know. So I don't think there's a lot of news to report from Concord Together. I will say, though, that I've spoken to multiple retailers who have really said that even just having such a strong and consistent call for local business support has really meant a lot to them. And even just that emotional support is really important. That being said, I think we still need to be creative and come up with new ideas, but there's nothing really right now brand new for Concord Together. John, can I take a minute to talk about the other project as well?
Okay.
So
was
this
gonna
came out today.
It is so beautiful. Everybody should read it and go through it.
Thank you.
Wilson hand delivered to us, and like, they are so beautiful.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you. This was a beautiful example of a village coming together in a huge, huge way. The holiday gift guide is a catalog of gifts entirely from Concord shops, restaurants, and inns. And it should be in most people's inbox tomorrow, maybe the day after. And it went from concept to press in 3.5 weeks. And over 100 businesses in Concord participated. So
Fabulous.
That is amazing. That is unbelievable. Thank you.
I'd actually like to give a standing ovation.
Oh, stop.
Somebody told me an issue had arrived for me today, and it was so crazy I forgot to take it home.
It's okay. You'll see it.
I haven't seen it yet.
We dropped a couple boxes off at your store today, Deborah.
Thanks.
So
Were you able to get the whole thing underwritten with donations?
yes. So we have, these are all of the businesses who came together, everything from the Concord Business Partnership to individual companies like Deborah. Thank you. You were a big supporter. And we even got, because I didn't know, for, you know, going into this, I thought, well, I'm just going to pay for it out of pocket and we'll deal with it on the other side. But it was kind of one of those, if you build it, they will come moments. And we actually had citizens like, here's $50, let me help. And yeah, so we were able to not only mail it, we printed 15,000 copies of it. It's It's getting mailed to every household, PO box, and business in Concord. And then we had an extra 5,000 copies that we're handing out all around town, to just consistently reinforce the idea of do as much of your holiday shopping locally as you possibly can. And because we were able to get it out early enough in November, there's even messaging in there about, order your turkey from a local business, or order, catering for your home family events, that kind of thing. So we'll be doing a really heavy push around this over the next week. But just please share it widely. And I'm just so touched by this entire community. It's an incredible group of human beings that came together to make this happen. So thanks, everybody. And I really hope it moves the needle just a little bit. So
Great.
that is that for me. But yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, congratulations, Jeff. I have to jump as well, but congratulations. I can't wait to see the thing. And I don't know, maybe this is a conversation maybe with my squad here and Aaron to talk about, maybe try and get some press on the fact that we came together to do this. Maybe we should have a sidebar about that.
Yeah, great idea.
All right. Thanks. See you, everybody. Good luck. Hang in there.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the weather.
Bye, Stephen.
Bye.
Today was, I think, the nicest day of the year. Unbelievable today.
Oh my God, it was beautiful.
I had a question, just one more question about Concord Together. We haven't done a survey for a little while. Is there anything that would be helpful? I guess I'm directing this to the town staff who may be aware of upcoming grant applications or opportunities, or even the retailers and restaurant folks. Is there anything that a survey would be helpful in understanding? My sense is that most people are pretty kind of level right now, but is there any information that would be helpful for us to go out and gather? Because again, we haven't done a survey for a couple of months.
I'm sort of drawing a blank. I'm sorry. I know that we, at the last meeting, Jennifer, didn't we talk about doing a customer survey?
Yeah, we were
And then
trying
how
to
we-
figure how we
how to
could
go
get
about doing that.
to end users and kind of
Right.
find out, like, are you shopping? If so, why or why not?
Right.
What are some of the obstacles to coming out?
Right.
Especially as cases are ticking up and we're heading into winter, it might be really good. I suspect probably would be helpful to do some sort of a concerted information campaign around what the shops and the restaurants are doing to keep everyone safe.
Yeah.
I know everyone's been doing kind of their own thing here and there, but maybe this committee could work together to create a cohesive plan.
Right.
Because I mean, there's been really interesting data. For example, Ramon, I think was it the National Restaurant Association that came out with that data that showed that you're actually safer eating indoors in a restaurant that's following all the protocols than some of these family gatherings and things. I mean, we need to be careful, right? We need to be very, check our primary sources before putting information out there. But, if we're consistently talking about the incredible things that everyone's done to keep, to reconfigure their spaces, to ensure there's appropriate PPE, safety protocols, capacity limitations, et cetera. I know it feels counterintuitive to some people. I've had some conversations with folks who are like, well, I don't really want to talk about that because I don't want to frighten my customers. But I think it's actually the opposite. I think when people really understand how careful people are being and those extra precautions, I think they actually feel more comfortable. I don't know. Have you guys had experiences with that?
I have a crazy idea. I'm good at those, right? And I'm thinking that since we have MMTV, so they did a great video for the Beauty Center about how safe they are. I'm almost thinking like we do a reporting, like like go to stores and get people on the spot that are in a store, show Marie behind plexiglass, show the back end of Ramon's kitchen, like sort of like your man on the street reporting. I think people are tired of emails. They don't want to answer surveys. You know, a survey is only good as that moment in time. But if you go into a store, so I went into Revolutionary Concord today, and I already told Marie this story, that I was listening to a conversation with a patron and one of the store workers, and he said, you know, every single thing I've ever bought here, I still have and I still love. And I'm like, can I write that down and like quote you? You know, like those are the kinds of things like you just, you know, and I went back and I called Marie and I told her, you know, so those are the kinds of things. I'm just thinking maybe we could put a little strike team together, go into stores, go into a restaurant, you know, and just say, you know, what makes you comfortable shopping here? What are you as a shop owner doing? And make it something that we can get out on our social channels. You know, it doesn't have to be polished. It doesn't have to be, you know, assuming we get permission to quote people, you know, it's almost like we become a news reporter, or maybe we ask Rob if he would be willing to do something like that.
It's a really fun idea.
Great.
Yeah.
Don, you had a,
I think it is a cool idea. I like the man on the street aspect of it rather than coming into their shop. Number one, because of capacity issues. And I'm always aware of trying to keep not only my customers, but my staff comfortable. In any little hubbub, if there's a camera crew, even if it's one person with an iPhone filming and interviewing, people then don't want to leave the area, or they're wondering, well, you know, is there something wrong? Yeah. So personally, I think it's a great idea, and I do like the impromptu, and I love that you shared that quote with Marie, you know, what the customer said there. But I'm much more a fan of the truly man on the street, you know, hey, you just came out of Revolutionary Concord. Tell me about, you know, I'm back from the town. We're trying to get our finger on the pulse of what's going on. I also do think that there's value in a consumer facing survey. And as I said 2 weeks ago, I'm happy to, if there is a survey created, to promote that link on all our social channels and via our newsletter too. You know, I realize that is a self-defined population, the people who interact with us, but I think there would be a response to it.
Yeah.
what about, okay, if we partner this idea of man on the street or person on the street videos with the amazing momentum that we had with the passport event, what if we invite people to do their own video talking about their shopping experience in town and post it on the Concord Together Facebook page, and we'll do some sort of random prize for best video or most creative video, and they get some sort of a bundle of cool stuff from Concord.
I like it. Yeah.
Do we think people will do that?
I know Matt Boker would.
Yeah, well, that will, yeah, at this point, he'll do anything we ask.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's no harm in trying it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just put out a call for videos.
I would say, yeah, we could do both, right? But I still think that I agree with you about the safety video aspect. You can't underestimate when we did ours and we put it out. I mean, I've been advocating for this for a while from a public service perspective, but to build consumer confidence, you'd be surprised how many people actually came in saying that they haven't gone out yet, but that video gave them the confidence that they did come to us because of it. So there is definitely something there. Of course, the short-term, you know, investment of discomfort potentially of coming into our places, if it's going to, you know, bring long-term results with guests repeating and coming back. You know, there's also some technology that if you're going to do videos, like in Newton, we did a passport-like program. However, it was all done through social, all done through phones and QR codes, so that the people didn't need the physical passports, and they were able to post their pictures. So they might be able to do that with a video. So I think there is a way to, there's a software, there's something already out there that would be able to make this pretty seamless and easy. I do agree the participation would be lower, just because asking people to do stuff like that, you know, it's worth it, because if it only helps a few places, it helps. But, you know, you might get lower than you do with a passport, but it would be pretty easy to launch, is my point. And so I think that it's a low enough barrier to try. Another thing I would say is, we're talking about businesses, and like we were talking about some sort of like curbside pickup parking. I don't know if there's a way to be able to help, or the city can help us with that. I know, sorry, I don't know if there's any conversations prior to that, but like, I know that there's, we don't want to interfere with retailers, but maybe shared spaces that are really short term so people can come in and out, so they're not taking up. I think that's a conversation that is going to be extremely valuable, especially in the winter.
Yeah,
So you're thinking about like having like 3 spaces in Walden Street, for example, that are just for.
or at the corner, say at the corner of Main and Walden. If all of those spaces at the corners were short-term pickup or, deliver to your car kind of thing, that would allow all of those businesses in that general area to use those. So yes, it's something I've been thinking about, and I've been meaning to raise it with the town manager. So thank you.
Definitely.
You can paint them with red and green stripes.
There you go, whatever works.
Can
Great
I jump
idea.
in real quick? Along the lines of that quick in and out curbside pickup. I don't know if Woods Hill Table on the days they're not open, because there are several days of the week they're not open, if we could ever use just a couple of their spots for just quick pickup, because the parking lot's always empty. Well, except for the picnic tables. I don't know how they do that, but maybe they won't have the picnic tables much longer. And then one thing, if we did a survey of customers, I would love to learn more about how they are planning to shop locally this year, this holiday, given the limits of number of people you can have in. Would they like to come in earlier, later, reserve a time? That would be really helpful.
I
would say something. Artisans Way actually did a survey of her customer base, and I happened to be on her mailing list, and she did ask questions about how would they feel more comfortable shopping online versus in the store, and what extended hours. So you might want to check, Jen, with Artisans Way and her response that she got. It was a pretty good survey. It was short. It's very easy to fill out. I filled it out within a minute or two, and she probably got the results that she needed. I did want to say one other thing. I look at Facebook postings by Concord businesses on a fairly regular basis every single day. And I think some of the best communication of safety during this pandemic has been with, for example, Deborah. I mean, Deborah posts something every day. She has something about the safety going on in her, no?
It's
Well, somebody
Adam.
does.
Adam.
Oh, Adam. Okay. Well, there's something posted there. And that it's a constant reminder of the safety procedures that she and her staff implement in the store. And I think that comes across very positively. I don't know, Deborah, what the feedback is from your customer base on that. But Ramon, you also do that. And a few other stores do that. Jen, you're always posting something about new face masks coming in. All of that communicates an awareness of the pandemic and the safety issues, and somehow finding out if that's been effective, I think would be useful, because it certainly comes across to me that you're all taking it very seriously and that you've implemented procedures.
I just want to add, I participated in a workshop last week that mentioned that shoppers are planning to spend 60% of their holiday shopping locally. So if we take that information and continue to build on what's been done so far, I think we can help support our businesses and keep you all thriving. So that's my goal, and I think that's a good piece of information.
Yeah.
One thing I was thinking about, this is kind of crazy. You know how they charge 10 cents for takeout bags? Like this might, I don't know if the retailers do that, but they were charging, the restaurants 10 cents for every bag. I think grocery stores might do it. What if is there a way to reverse that? It might not be big enough, incentive to get people to buy from us. So I was thinking like a reverse, like a tax credit where, we could take, like the restaurant industry specifically pays an additional 0.75 in meals tax to the city, right? We pay 6 1/4 to the state, and then each town is elected to be able to take an extra 70, 3/4 0.75 to the town. That's specific to the restaurants. And so there's, I think, money there that could come back. But I think in general, I was just thinking of all of it, a lot of it, I'm not sure how it works for retail, but I think there's something there about trying to, in the winter's coming, people aren't going to be eating outside anymore. There's going to be much more difficult for us to, people aren't as comfortable inside, some people, but a way to incentivize takeout maybe, or something, or I'm not sure, something like that.
You're talking about giving money back for every bag that people are using. Is that what I understood, Ramon?
Not necessarily, because I don't necessarily know if they should be bringing, but that's the concept. I don't know the logistics of like necessarily whether they bring their own bag or not, but just by getting takeout, just by taking it out, incentivizing them and giving them a tax credit. It would have to be something that the city would, the town would sponsor. But that was kind of, I don't know, just something that came up in a previous conversation I had, and I was like, you know what, it's crazy enough to explore.
Could it be like for every 10 times you get takeout, you get a $10 gift of Concord card, and that's something the town could purchase?
To me, anything that is going to require more work on the part of any business at this point, or giving away money that we don't have to, is just counterproductive. And it's just, we always used to give a nickel back for every bag somebody brought, and that we didn't have to, buy a bag for them. And there were some people to whom it was important, but today, no, it's not important to anybody. What's important to everybody today is that we're there and the doors are open and they have a place to come. So if we have any more hoops to jump through at the register to say, oh, that's your 10th time, you get this, we just can't do it.
I don't think I expressed myself well. I'm thinking of something similar to like the passport shopping program we did over the summer, where if you get 10 stamps that say you got takeout from any eating establishment in Concord anywhere, you turn in your passport and you get a $10 gift of Concord card at, say, the visitor center.
I know our store did a terrible job with the passports. We had them at the register, but no matter how many times we said to our staff, don't forget to mention this, don't forget to give the sheet out. And we spent a fair amount of money, making a couple thousand sheets. It just didn't happen. So at the end,
we allowed people to sort of self-report on that.
So no, I know some people did it, but I'm just saying for the most part, we did not do a good job. And I felt very badly about that.
Well, we saw Deborah's Natural Gourmet on an awful lot of passports. So people were filling it out themselves, which is fine. I'm just trying to think, especially after New Year's Eve, the restaurants and the takeout establishments are really going to be hurting. So if we can focus on something to encourage people, take out once a week, eat a meal out once a week in a Concord establishment.
I think that campaign would be a great idea. But I think
Tuesday.
it would have to play out on social media and on the town's websites and on each one of our websites too, to remind our customers to eat out once. And I think that's something that's doable. What isn't doable is at the register.
Sure.
Ramon, you have a program going right now that it seems like it could be duplicated through any of the businesses in Concord, not just restaurants. And if I recall what you have on Facebook, every time someone eats in one of your restaurants, they get a coupon. Each of the stores could do that as well, if I recall the campaign correctly. And that seems like a fairly nice incentive for your customers to come back to your stores or your restaurant, and in this case, Concord.
So we have a couple of programs. The one that prefers loyalty, it's like a point for every dollar spent. That gets run through our POS system. So everybody's computers are going to be a little bit different. There are third parties that can track that pretty easily, and you can run it through it. So the technology's out there. I think that's a simple way to do it. It's tough to do it, I think, across the board to get it run for all the locations. But we do a number of things. But right now what we're doing is we're giving away our secret envelopes, which we hand out an envelope for every, guest that comes in from now until the end of the year. And then they have to come back in January and February to redeem that. Everyone's a prize, but they have to come back. So it also drives business into the winter, where usually January is our slowest time of year. It becomes our busiest time of year. Again, this year it's very difficult not knowing what's going to happen, but it's another incentive. So there could be something like that where it's a, they have other ways of doing it, whether it's you can get scratch cards as well that you can customize them and make, and they're not expensive. We can all pass them out. They can win a prize, but the prize, I think to Deborah's point, would be helpful if it was donated. That didn't come out of the business's pocket, but to Jen's point, like we can have sponsors, but there are a couple of creative ways I think to get around if we can, get behind it, and they're really low, I think, touch points, and they don't have to really. I mean, you have to explain probably a little bit, so you don't want to tie up the checkout too long. I understand how difficult it is when trying to check out somebody and explain different things to them. But we've been able to do that, and it's been really successful for us. So I'm happy to, explain it more if somebody want to.
Ramon, I've said from the beginning that I think it's one of the most brilliant marketing campaigns I've seen. It's a very, especially in non-COVID times, it's such a great way to get people to eat out in your restaurant a lot more than they normally would in that kind of competitive period. And then B, they come in during the dead of winter. And what's really fun to see is that last week when you're running out of time to use the envelopes, the community spirit around the bar that it invokes of like, well, here, Joe, I've got 10 envelopes left. You grab one. But if it's the $500, we're splitting it, and it's really brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah, we got lucky sometimes to come up with an idea like that, and that one worked. We could think about how, I don't know how we could, do that on a larger scale with the community, with retailers and everybody, but it's something to incentivize them, to come back, I think is critical because it's going to be a cold winter, as they say.
Yeah. All right, we're getting close to 5. And a lot of good ideas. I do think it's worth coming back to the survey at some point to really, I think if we were to develop a survey targeted at consumers that was distributed over the Facebook pages of all the businesses in Concord, we could get great reach and great data that way. And I think that could serve not only as a way for us to gather information, but also to promote some of the good, all the safety measures being taken and reinforce all the good things going on, and to kind of keep this top of mind for people. So I think we should just think carefully about how to do that. So maybe I think Jennifer, Concord Together, we should kind of attack this, offline. But I'd encourage everybody to submit any thoughts you have on, other surveys you've seen that are effective at both kind of gathering information and promoting all the positives of supporting your local businesses. I think it's a good way to keep these, keep everybody top of mind.
Can I just ask a general question? Is that I'm sensing a little bit of despair, maybe, from some of our retail and restaurant friends who are on the front lines of this pandemic. And we've got the Concord Together meeting on Thursday too, but is there anything in the back of your mind that you've been noodling around? It doesn't need to be a fully fleshed out idea of anything that the town can be doing to help you. I know we've come up with some great ideas here, but is there anything else that hasn't been voiced that you'd like to get out there into the universe?
Okay. Well, first of all, I've been so grateful for everything that's been done. I would say maybe some more promotion. I've decided, and I may not be the only one, but it dawned on me that now that I have the website, I can have my pajama sale. You can literally be in your pajamas at home. And I've set up discount codes. So from midnight till 7 a.m. on the Saturday before Thanksgiving, you can get 20% off your sale. And then I think I did between 7 and 8. Yeah, between 7 and 8, you can get 15% off, and between 8 and 9, you can get 10%. And so I set up the codes today, which is like a modern miracle because I'm such a boomer, but I was like, woo, we can do it. So I plan to start promoting that today. And I almost feel like it's something that a lot of retailers could do. Like Deborah, you could even do it too, you know? I mean, I don't know if you have, I'm sure yours is probably more sophisticated than mine.
Yeah.
And at first I was, so anything to promote that would be great.
So if you put it on your Facebook, then I can share it out.
Okay.
So, and we are getting pretty good traction from Facebook. It's growing. I mean, it's not probably even as big as it could be, but
Can we make some Concord Together pajamas and like have it be like, I don't know, some sort of random shopper who participates will win a pair of Concord Together pajamas? Or I love this. Let's brainstorm some more about this.
Yeah, so I will, there was something else I was going to say about that. Yeah, and I think initially, at first I was like, we'll have everything ready that day, but then I realized we have hundreds of shoppers that come in that day and they're doing the work of picking and just bringing it, we're just registering it out. So it'll take a few days to get everybody's stuff, I hope, but I'm trying to figure out how to get that business because I can't have people in. I know there hasn't been a lot of excitement about it, but I'm still definitely doing it as I got these gorgeous Concord Together Always market bags that can hold up to 100 pounds. They're fair trade. They have 2 wine bottles. And I actually have to email you, Ramon. I am going to get $20 gift cards that Joy Street is just going to purchase from restaurants in Concord. And I've come up with like 6 or so. And I'm going to actually order, I'll figure out what the easiest way, but I'm going to order 3 or 4 from Fiorella's. I know it's not much, but $20 each. And then I'm going to promote when someone buys this bag that's $74, they get $20. They can pick from any of these restaurant gift cards I have to go use in town. And so I don't make nearly as much, but that's fine. My whole thing is what can I do that can promote this? And then people can ask where these bags are and just about thinking about Concord Together. So I will be in touch with you because I have the bags and people have really liked them, but I think they'll really like it if they can also get $20 to spend at your restaurant.
I will say that I was wearing
Love
my
that.
Concord shirt on Saturday, like just wearing it, and I was stopped 3 times and people went in the visitor center to buy them. So I think if people start carrying the bags, you'll see the same thing. Like, I think that's a brilliant idea. I was going to ask if you guys or the retailers are participating in Small Business Saturday. Are you, I don't see anything about that this year. So okay.
I've heard somebody talking briefly about it, but I haven't seen anything. We've never really done anything. I mean, we just were busy. I mean, also I'm so new that just opening a door and having someone come in was exciting. So, and we're usually pretty busy with that. My big challenge still is staffing. I mean, it's just heartbreaking that I can't, people getting sick, having family members, like things you can't control. That's the biggie.
There are some retailers who are having some promotions for small business, and I believe it's running for a whole month this year, from what I understand. So there are going to be individual store promotions or specials throughout the month. But I think it's an individual basis and always has been on that for that particular day, what offerings or sales are going to occur.
Mm-hmm. All right.
You have to use American Express unless they change the rules, and not everybody uses that. So it does change the dynamics a little bit.
All right. In terms of the agenda, I think we've covered a ton of stuff. We had a recommendation to consider, which I think we've pretty much talked all around. It sounds like it's already happening in terms of, the town and everybody gearing up to support holiday season preparations. If the committee members have no more comments or questions, I'm just gonna quick look around. I don't think we have any citizens for comment today. Does anybody want to make any closing remarks before we adjourn?
I just want to say we have our Hanukkah window in. So I think we're the only Hanukkah window in Concord. So come see the menorahs.
Congratulations.
Thank
Our
you.
menorah is out too, just for display, the one we have in the visitor center. That one's up. I put the Christmas tree and the menorah up this past weekend, so.
Deborah,
Some of mine have come from various businesses in Concord over the years. So Lacoste Gallery and some other places, and that's been kind of fun for us.
if you have a nice photo, Deborah, send it to me and to Beth and we'll push it out all over our social media channels.
I'll try and take it in the middle of the night, which is the
Yeah,
only
I was
time
just
I don't
gonna
get a
say, so-
glare.
The most hard photo, I have one that's not bad from last year.
Yeah,
that
that's
I
true.
put out there. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
You need a really cloudy day. And for them to be dark in the background. There's one thing I wanted to follow up from Stephen is the student at CCHS that we do have a student that's identified themselves as tech savvy and able to help businesses. I put it out in the email newsletter again, whatever day that might have been, maybe yesterday. But we do have that student that we can pair up any business that is looking for Facebook help, email marketing. I was just, Jen, that made me think of you just now. Like maybe you meet with the student and have them come up with some creative posts for you.
Great idea. Wow, what a great resource. It's awesome.
That's awesome. I'll be in touch with you.
Nervous, man. All right.
All right, who would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting? Jennifer moves to adjourn. May I have a second?
Second.
Jen McGrath, okay, great. And we'll go around, we're gonna do this. Do we still have to do this by roll call? I guess we do, right?
I think so.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go around my screen. Jen Shinneman?
Yes.
Vote.
Yes.
Okay, Steve Verrill?
Aye.
Jen McGrath? Okay, Beth? Deborah?
Yes.
Jane?
Yep.
Dawn?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well, so we're unanimous. The meeting is hereby adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Take care. Keep the
Good week.
faith.